Hi students, I'm Una.
And I'm Scott.
I'm a PTE teacher from the UK.
I'm also a PTE teacher from the UK.
And we've been helping students pass their exams for years.
And now we're excited to help you pass your exam too.
Welcome to the Swoosh English PTE podcast.
Let's get started. Hello everyone.
And welcome to another PTE podcast episode here at Swoosh English. My name is Una.
And I'm Scott.
And today we are looking at the reading section of the PTE exam.
What task are we looking at today specifically?
We're looking at the last task, reading and writing, fill in the blanks.
Last task.
Yeah. So how are you today, Scott?
I'm great. We've done a lot of work for these podcasts. We're looking forward to divulging some of the information about the various tasks that we've learned from our time teaching PTE with Swoosh English.
Yes.
And giving everyone some useful information in a fun and funny format with Una, who has a bit of a cold today. So she might be a little bit sniffy, so we apologise profusely for that. Just don't sneeze at me, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm not enjoying the winter, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's not even winter yet, is it?
We are from Ireland, so it's starting to come into the winter now. Maybe you're from an equally cold country. However, I doubt it. I reckon it's a lot warmer because Ireland's pretty cold in the grand scheme of things. So it's coming into winter now, and it's like sniffly cold season. It's very, very dark. We just don't want to get out of bed in the morning.
No, I hate getting out of the darkness. It's awful.
Yeah. So how do you deal with winter in your country? It'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
If you have winter.
Okay, so let's get into it then. So Scott, can you start then with an overview of reading, writing, fill in the blanks?
So reading, writing, fill in the blanks is like its counterpart exercise, reading and writing, in which you have to read a text. It's a bit longer than the reading, writing text at 300 words versus 80 words.
So you mean reading, fill in the blanks?
Reading, fill in the blanks is 80 words.
Oh, right, okay.
Reading, writing, fill in the blanks, which we're doing today, is 300 words. So you have to read a text and you have to fill in the blanks with a series of answer options. So it differentiates from reading, fill in the blanks, in which you have to select a single word from the list. In this text itself, you have maybe 3 to 4 to 5 different answers, and you choose it based on how well it grammatically fits, contextually fits, or even the grammar and the vocabulary that is being used.
So just to confirm, it's for reading, writing, fill in the blanks, it's 4 options. Usually it's 4 options for every blank. So you have 4 options. You have to choose one for every blank. Whereas reading, fill in the blanks, you have simply 6 answer options, and they are going to be matched to the numerous blanks.
They are slotted in. So there actually are more options for this.
Yeah, of course. But it's only 4 for each individual blank.
All right. So once again, for the reading test in general, if you divide the amount of tasks up by the amount of time that you have, it roughly works out about 2 minutes per task. So try and stick to about 2 minutes, maximum of 2 minutes 30 seconds for reading, writing, fill in the blanks as well. Okay. And you will have a total of about 5 to 6 of these tasks to do. So don't think, I've done one, it's the end. Oh no, there's another 4 to 5 to come afterwards. So just to summarize, you're obviously reading a text of 300 words. You are selecting a choice of 4 answer options. They'll all be quite similar to fill in these blanks. And you'll have 2 minutes to do it. And 5 to 6 of these tasks will be in the day of the exam. Any other overview information you think I might have missed? Or is that pretty much it?
No, I think that's it. We can just move on to how it's scored.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how is this task scored? So
you simply get 1 mark for every answer that you get correct, and you won't get a mark if you don't choose the correct answer.
So nice and simple, as it should be. There's some convoluted marking in the PTE examination, especially for writing and speaking, because there's a lot more going on.
Yes.
But there's no negative marking for this task. To use that word, negative marking. There's no negative marking in this task. Simply 0 for an incorrect answer and 1 for a right answer. So if you're not sure, then you may as well guess based on your own logical deduction, or even just blindly guess if you're completely not sure.
Yes.
You have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right. So that means technically every 4 answers you guess,
what maths are you coming up?
Logically, you should get an extra point, because 25% chance of getting them right, 25% chance of getting it 1 right.
For all the mathematicians out there.
Now, also, I'm an English teacher, not a mathematics teacher, but you know what I mean.
Anyway, moving on. So let's just discuss some questions, that will really let you assess where you are and what skills you need to improve on for reading, writing, fill in the blanks. So these are some questions you can ask yourself. For example, do you read regularly? Okay.
Yeah.
So of course, this is a reading task. So you need to make sure that you're reading on a regular basis and really keeping improving your overall reading skills. So that's going to include your skimming and scanning abilities. it's going to include simply being able to recognize vocabulary as you read and your ability to read at speed, isn't it?
Of course, yeah. There's a variety of different specific reading skills that you need to develop quite well for this task. As we always say, it's useful to know the method. The method, without a doubt, is highly useful, but learning the method by itself isn't going to get you the score you need if your other language skills or your test taking skills are also not up to scratch. So, as Una said, you want to make sure that you are reading regularly and you're reading academic texts that are quite similar to the ones you get in the PTE examination, either with us at Swoosh English if you take one of our packages, or you're just simply reading around the topic in your own time. You're reading magazines and journals and reports, etc.
Yeah, scientific articles.
Yeah, there's a variety of different topics. So yeah, you need to obviously be good at skimming and scanning. You need to be able to scan a text, get the information you need in a very quick method, reading for purpose, not reading leisurely, and extracting that key information. You also should be reading and picking up your academic vocabulary as well as just being familiar with the writing style. They all differ. The information can be presented different ways. So make sure you are reading on a regular basis and you're doing exercises which are quite similar to the PTE examination as well.
Definitely. Yeah. So really improving your overall reading skills, obviously crucial. So then another one, are you able to identify how vocabulary fits into its context? So this is huge for this task. There may be a variety of different words that you're having to choose from. So for example, it could simply be a grammar question. So it could be, a variety of different forms of the word. For example, a gerund, infinitive form, the base verb form only. And you have to decide what fits in the sentence, what fits in the context.
Yes. So there could be obviously collocated words that often come together. It could even be a word type style question. So obviously the gap that might be there, there's 4 answer options. One might only work grammatically. Maybe a noun can fit. We may also have the adjective form of the word, the adverb form of the word. And it's up to you to know how that works in the greater grammatical context as well.
So it could be a word form situation.
Yes.
So it's the same word, but the word form is different. And it could also simply be a number of different words, but some words that have very similar meanings. So, that does arise when the words have very similar meanings and it's difficult. Okay, but why is it this word and not this word, So really being able to understand the intricate definition of every word and when it's
fun
used.
Because we always like to think that, I find a direct synonym of that word. Often the word isn't completely direct. It's similar, but there's different nuances there until how the word is applied. So I guess just reading around the general sentence.
I guess that would be the most difficult type of, for me anyway, I think that would be the most difficult
I think even the native speakers struggle with that.
Exactly.
I think back to our time at university and we were trying to sound really, really intelligent in our essays by putting in all these fancy words. Often the professor would say, that word hasn't been used correctly. Oh no. You
just reminded me of that episode of Friends. The episode of Friends where Joey is writing the letter for Monica and Chandler, and he decides he finds a thesaurus for the first time in his life, and he decides to write the letter but change every word that he had written into a word from the thesaurus. And
not a dinosaur.
Yeah. So anyway, the letter ends up sounding completely ridiculous because he's obviously used words that actually they might have occurred in this thesaurus, but they had just a little bit of a different meaning. So yeah, he just reminded me of that episode. It's hilarious.
Do you watch Friends and do you like Joey? We hope that you do. It's relevant to PTE entirely.
Anyway, back to PTE. So yes. Are you able to really identify what vocabulary fits into the context? That's obviously what this task is all about. And like you touched upon it there, knowledge of collocations. Yeah, so knowledge of collocations can really come in useful within this task. So what is a collocation, Scott?
A collocation are 2 different words that might often come together to form a specific meaning. For example, we in Ireland know this one quite often. There's heavy rain today. The collocation is heavy plus rain. So obviously we could say other words like big rain or massive rain.
No.
It would mean the same thing. The meaning is essentially the same, but heavy rain or hard rain, we could maybe say hard rain, for example. But the collocation that's commonly known is heavy rain. So some of the answer options in reading, writing, fill in the blanks will be a collocation. For example, you might have rain. One of your answer options might be, this is a bad option, hard, heavy, etc., etc.
Yeah, exactly. But you choose heavy based on collocation.
Based on your knowledge of collocations, But we'll get into a bit more about collocations and how it's useful for this task when we get into our method.
Hi all. We're going to grab a quick cup of coffee. While we're gone, go to pte.swooshenglish.com and grab your free PTE starter course, a gift to get you started on your PTE preparation. That's pte.swooshenglish.com for your free PTE starter course. Okay, so also, we've touched on all of this really. So knowledge of collocations, grammatical knowledge, and structures and word families. Yeah, so it's a really good idea to, build up your knowledge of word families. So, for example, take a word and then think, okay, what is the adjective form of this word? What is the adverb form of this word? Whatever, and really build up your knowledge in that way.
Highly important.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so already you're starting to think, okay, where do I lie in relation to these things? I need to work on my grammar. I need to work on my collocations. You can decide.
You have to probably work on them all, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. But, allocate more time to one or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you find your weakest at.
Yes, so let's just look at the method now then. So how should students go in and approach reading, writing, fill in the blanks?
So you'll come straight to the task. Obviously, you will begin your 2 minutes to do the task entirely. You should start off, we don't recommend this for every task, but for this task, we recommend that you start skimming through the text. Don't start answering straight away. Skim through the text. Why is it useful to skim the text?
So if you skim the text, then you will be able to have a good gist of what the topic is and an overall idea of the main topic of the text. And straight away, you will be surprised, but when you start skimming that text, your brain might start to logically fill in certain words within those blanks. So you're actually giving yourself a head start, if you start to skim. And then whenever you go and select and look down at the answer options. So within reading, fill in the blanks, it is a drop down within each blank. You don't have to drag the word. You simply drop down the box, see the options and select the word. Whenever you do that, maybe the word you were thinking of logically will be there.
It will be there, yeah.
Yeah, well, that would be very lucky, but yes.
Could be.
It's possible.
It could be.
Definitely.
And whenever I've done some reading, writing, fill in the blanks, that's what I do. I read through and I think what words can logically fit in, and then obviously I look at the option and go, okay, that could work, that could work, that could work. But also, when you read through the entire passage before you answer, you might actually have a better understanding about how the words work if you've got an overall good idea of the wider contextual theme as well.
Yeah, if you have a good idea of the meaning throughout, then some words might be eliminated straight away because okay, they're not really working with the overall theme or the overall meaning.
Because what's being talked about overall, know what's being discussed. So that could obviously be contextual style questions, could be eliminated that way if you've got an idea of the overall gist of the reading passage.
Yeah. Okay, so then you are going to start reading it in more detail.
You're going to start reading through each section in which there's a blank. So around the wider sentence or maybe the sentence afterwards as well. So you're going to look at the blank and you're going to assess, okay, what word could logically fit here in this sentence? It depends obviously where the blank is. Is it the beginning of a sentence, the middle of a sentence, or at the end of a sentence? So you're going to come across each blank. You're going to assess it 3 ways. 1, does it grammatically fit? 2, does a vocabulary work? And 3, is there possibly a collocation here as well? So for example, if a word comes at the end of a sentence, what word type do you think would often fit at the end of a sentence? A noun, more than likely. It's not usually going to be an adverb. It's not going to be a verb. However, in some passive voice situations, you never know what could actually happen at the end. But it's usually, for the vast majority of times, a noun. So you can look at that. And also, you're going to not look at about where the gap is. You're going to look about what words actually follow on from the gap or precede the gap as well. So obviously, if there's a preposition beforehand, what words often come around a preposition?
So what do you think about a noun?
Usually a noun, yep. So usually a noun.
Or it could be some sort of phrase, like a phrase I think comes a lot with prepositions.
Yes.
Idiomatic phrase, for example.
A lot of idiomatic phrases, yeah.
So, make sure that you also, I think it's important to realize not just to look directly at the words before and after the blank. The word that you're choosing could actually be based on the sentence that came before or after it as well. There could be something in the sentence before which suggests, okay, that is the word based on the meaning.
On the context.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's important within reading, writing, fill in the blanks to take that into consideration also. And, note those small words like the prepositions which come before or after the blank, because that can really give you a good idea as to what is missing, For example, I had recently an example where it was like, in was the word before the blank, and the student had to choose in order, and if you're not familiar with that phrase, then you're not going to know what the word is.
Because the words all might work grammatically and you think, well, all of them work grammatically. I'm not sure of the collocation. You'll just maybe blindly guess. But if you knew the collocation, then you have a better chance of answering that.
Yeah, but a lot of the time with prepositions as well, certain prepositions rule out certain words because they don't come in order with those,
True,
you know?
true. That's very true.
So, yeah, definitely prepositions can be a very useful one in order for you to decide that word. So like you said, those 3 things are very important, and analyze what kind of word is missing, like a noun, a verb, an adjective, and that can help you choose the answer, meaning alone, and then collocations.
So you're assessing your answer based on those 3 areas. Some of the answers may be a collocation style question. You might have the preposition. You might have, for example, said in order or in to or in for. You never know what the answer could be. So it could be a collocation style question. It could be a grammatical style question where one word fits grammatically, the rest don't. Therefore, you know it that way. And it could also be a vocabulary question as well, which may or may not work.
Okay, so then after you've done that, you're going to just simply review your answer options. So review the answer you've chosen, try to read through it all quickly, and ask yourself questions like, does that sound logical? Does it make sense? Does that sound right to me? And hopefully, once you read through it, your knowledge of collocations, for example, will be activated once you read that sentence and you're like, oh yeah, I've heard those 2 words together before while listening to native speakers, for example. So make sure you leave yourself time to review your answers, and then you can make any changes if necessary.
Because as Una said, rereading it with every blank finished, you may actually be able to come across an answer which works or doesn't work based on the overall context again. And you may reread the whole sentence in order and think, okay, that doesn't make sense now. I've actually read that. The grammar doesn't work. I actually think this collocation might work instead.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's important. So that pretty much covers the method. Remember to start by skimming the text. Then obviously reading around your sentences, answering all the questions based on the 3 areas of grammar, collocations, and context. And then also then spend some time to review at the very end. So I might recommend you spend about maybe 20 seconds or so quickly skimming through the text. Then maybe up to about a minute, maybe a bit more than a minute and a half on reading through and answering the questions, and then spending another, say, 20 to 30 seconds reviewing at the very end.
So you're thinking 2 and 2.5 roughly.
So that covers the criteria between 2 and 2.5 minutes.
Yes,
so you change that based on how much time you think you have.
And of course, the other thing that we didn't mention as well, if you come across, for example, you're going to start with the first blank, of course, work in the logical order. But if you're finding that first blank is really difficult and you're really stuck on it, don't spend that much time at it. Move on to the next one. Guarantee that you get those easier answer options first and secure your mark for those. And then once you have secured your mark for the answers you can be confident about, you can go back and start looking again. And if you're really stuck with a certain answer, what kind of thing could you do? So say you've selected the ones that you're confident about, the blanks, and then you're going to return to 2 different blanks that you weren't sure about, you couldn't decide. How would you go about it?
You just need to reread around the sentence again and see if you can answer. Also, maybe you picked up on more information about a collocation or a grammatical context. But of course, if that fails, then you do obviously just select an answer based on your on random.
Or I was thinking put in every word. Obviously this is more time consuming, but read the sentence inserting every word answer, and maybe it will sound better to you. Ask yourself what sounds logical here. So if you have time, you could do that.
And also don't be afraid, I suppose. This might actually activate your knowledge as well. Don't be afraid to say the words out loud. I know it's a reading exercise, but you may obviously come across, say them out loud, and that might actually activate something that you were previously unsure about reading to yourself. You say it out loud and you think, that doesn't make sense, or that does make sense. So don't be afraid to speak.
How it sounds is definitely really important.
But obviously speak fairly quietly to other people taking the examination.
Okay, so any other tips?
I guess that was our first tip we just covered there. It's a very useful tip, is that obviously if you are unsure with a blank, move on and come back to at the very, very end. I think that obviously what students shouldn't do as well is read sentences in isolation as well. Because obviously the blank may come as part of a sentence, but the context of that sentence might actually be referred to in the previous sentence or the next sentence. So you might get a better understanding about what the blank is in terms of either a collocation or context by reading around it as well. It's not as simple as just obviously associating the blank itself. So make sure you read around the sentence if you're unsure about the idea. Then that contextual information may come to you from doing so.
Yeah. Okay, and then when you are reading, so this is just simply in order to improve your reading skills, when you are reading, whether it be on the way to work or, wherever you like to read, and, don't just read like you would read if you're just reading a novel, but when you're preparing for your PTE exam, you should be taking every opportunity that you read to really look at the sentence structure. So look at the structure of that sentence. You know, if you're going to take a word away or replace a word, why would you do that? Okay. Look at the sentence structure, trace verb tense patterns. Ooh. So really, you know, keep an eye on the tense. Why is it that tense in that sentence? Ask yourself these questions to really test your overall grammatical knowledge of English, you know?
Very useful. So we like to call it active reading. You don't want to be reading just for pure enjoyment, but constantly asking questions such as, what's the main idea of this text? What are the key points? Why did that verb fit in that context? Why has the passive voice been used here? What new collocation have I gotten here? How does that contextually link to something else? Always asking yourself questions and improving your own association of how a reading text works by doing so.
Exactly.
Will be very, very good for your overall reading ability. So it doesn't necessarily have to be PTE-like, but the more PTE-like, the better it is, aka academic texts. But these are all very useful language skills for this examination and for this task.
Yeah. And like the multiple choice type questions, I mean, gap fill answer option questions are very common to find.
Very easy to find. You can make your own very easy as well.
Obviously, you can find PTE practice ones, but you know, in general, all English grammar textbooks will have some kind of gap fill answer or question, you know? So you can find those are readily available and practice with gap fill activities.
All right. Well, that pretty much covers our tips today, doesn't it?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So there you have it. That's PTE reading, fill in the blanks, reading and writing very nicely. So we hope that you found this exercise and this podcast today to be very useful, and you've gotten some more ideas about how to succeed in this task for the PTE examination. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again for some more PTE podcasts at Swoosh English.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Are you struggling with your PTE exam preparation? Are you unsure how to get that score of 65, 79, or even 90? Let us help you get there. Please go to pte.swooshenglish.com and enter discount code PTE10 in order to receive 10% discount on any course.